Hi, friend. Welcome back. I'm glad you're tuning in with me today and coming back to learn more about Colossians. I hope you're doing well. And if you're not, I hope you're hanging in there. The Christian life is not void of suffering and hard lessons, but through the suffering and through the hard and through the lessons, the Father offers you what we've learned about so far in Colossians: grace, peace, rest, provision, and guess what else? Abundance. And all of these things bring forth then joy and gratefulness and vitality and life. So if you've been in a perpetual state of joylessness and struggle and suffering, might I suggest that it's time you pay attention to where the Lord is making you aware of that and longing to reach you and renew you and heal you? We have to pay attention to that. I'm not talking about being joyless here and there. I'm talking about if you're living in a perpetual state of lack. He wants to reach you and renew you and heal you. And this is what God's word can do for you. It will not give up. And if you keep coming to it and continue, maybe finding that Christian teacher or group or study that speaks to your heart best and can come alongside to help you, you're going to grow. And remember, as a believer, you have the Holy Spirit to guide you into understanding. So there is always hope. Even if today is not the best day, there is always hope as a believer and never an option to just give up. Because your Father, Helper, Creator, and Redeemer will never leave you or forsake you. You may give up on him for a while, but he'll never give up on you. So that should give you a little oomph to just get back in the game and keep going. You got to keep going. So let's get back into Colossians chapter 1 today. We're in verses 20. I've lost my mind for a second. We're starting in verse 20. And let's see where it can touch our hearts and renew our minds today. So going back into 20 here, we were just talking last time about God coming to reconcile us, setting us in a new kingdom. And we go on into verse 21, I apologize. And here's where, I don't know, he's just saying something different and something new. It says, once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior. And I'm going to stop there and think about it like this. It kind of sounds like when I hear the word once, I think like once upon a time. So I kind of went with that fairy tale thing. And imagine reading your own fairy tale, like a little child, but this time it's the one with your story. The one about your life. And it would go something like this. If we're looking at the truth of the word, for you, for me, once upon a time, you were alienated from God. You were alienated from God. Well, if you think about it, it sounds like most fairy tales, which start out sad, and the character is in a broken situation. Snow White was unwanted. Cinderella was a slave. Princess Aurora was an orphan. Fairy tales start out like that, even the ones that we watch and read about. And you and me, we started out alienated from God. And if we finish the verse, it gets even worse when it says, we find out we were his enemies. And this is not, enemies is not referring to the bad people or the immoral people. This is every human being from Paul, the writer of Colossians, who started out murdering Christians. He was an enemy of God when he was born. And this applies to the Pope. He was an enemy of God. Every human being starts out alienated and as an enemy of God. That is a whole topic to delve into, and something you need to go learn about if that just boggles your mind, or you haven't heard that, or you aren't sure about that. Go find it out for yourself. I mean, you have this word to go dig into yourself, but I found a guy I liked on YouTube that explained it from a biblical point of view really well. His name is Johnny Chang, and if you just find his YouTube channel and maybe look up Inherited Sin, which is what it's called. We were made sinful. He's got some really good explanations in practical terms, and they're very short explanations of what that really means. And so I just urge you to go find that out. He's one person that I understood it pretty well when he explained it. But point being is we were all enemies and alienated from God to begin with. And what I want you to realize is this takes out all favoritism and any idea that God sees some people better or more holy than others. That takes it all away when it says, once we were all enemies and alienated. So if you feel like you don't measure up to other Christians because you don't know enough yet, or you have sinned more, or you're struggling with a sin issue even now, you are no different in God's eyes than any other believer, because we were all in the same place to start out, and we only got out of that situation because of what we read in the previous verses in Colossians, which told us that we were lifted by the Father's strong arms when we came to believe in him and put our trust in him and acknowledged him. And he then lifted us into a new kingdom and set us down over here. I almost picture like a parent picking up a messy little toddler on the floor that's just got into all of the, I don't know, boxes with cereal or something it could reach, and there's just a mess everywhere, and God just picks, you pick up the child and you clean him off and you set him somewhere new. God did that for us and set us next to Jesus in his kingdom. And there was nothing we didn't do that part. We may have acknowledged him and put our faith in and trust in him, but he lifted us up. He set us somewhere new. And that plan was the plan that was all along. So the playing field is level, and any idea, and this is where my heart goes out to Christians, this is the whole reason I want to do this, is if you are feeling like you have not been accepted by the Father like others are, and that there is still something you need to do to get there, this thought needs to be cast away, out of your mind, out of your heart. And I mean, any belief of that needs serious attention paid to it. And you may need to go on a journey of exploring only that for a season, so that you can take away a new way of thinking and see yourself in a new light and hear from God in a whole new way. That's what I had to do, and that's what I urge you. If you're still thinking somehow you're not as good as somebody sitting next to you in church, and you're both believers, you need to address that. That is a lie that will infiltrate every area of your life and take away what the Lord is trying to give you in those things I mentioned before, like joy and peace and grace and vitality and authenticity, being able to be yourself and knowing your identity. Like I keep saying, I'll keep saying it. Throw everything else out that you're working on if you don't understand that yet. And go there. Go to him. Figure it out. Find out the truth. Because throwing that out is essential for your growth. And you're the only one that can do it for yourself. You're the only one that can come to the conclusion, maybe I am not, maybe part of this timidity in me and this joylessness and lack is that I haven't really paid attention to how I think God views me. Is it the truth? Is it just what I've learned in church? And I don't mean been taught, but just been, is it what I felt? Is it what's been kind of laid on me? You're the only one that can take a time out in your Christian walk and really work out what is going on in that head of yours. You're the only one that can do it for yourself. No one is going to do it for you. And yet at the same time, when you choose to do that, your Heavenly Father is ready to help and to heal you when you are deciding, and when you have decided to prioritize giving it a good look. So I was going to preach on that. Sorry, let's go back to the story, back to the fairy tale. We were all enemies. You were an enemy because of your evil behavior, because of my evil behavior. We were enemies. Yes, we are evil. We inherited it from our father Adam and our mother Eve. It is in our nature to sin. A reminder, though, about why we were even given the chance to sin or not sin to begin with. We need to note this. Okay, I'm a sinner. Well, why would God even give me that choice to sin? What's that all about? Couldn't he have just made us and we were all good and didn't sin? I mean, why did we need to go through all this? And I remember the light bulb going off in my head back early on, maybe about 26, 27, when I first came back, to the Lord. And I remember learning about this. I'm going to go a little deep here just for a minute, because I think it's important to note that we are sinful creatures from the beginning, but why? And that goes back to just the beginning, the idea of the beginning. Let's go back for a minute and say, the Creator and the Father of us all, we all have one. It's the same Creator, same Father. He wanted to create creation. You, me, and everything you see. But he did not want humans who we are the ones created in his image. The animals are not in his image. Humans are in his image. He wanted to create us to have a love relationship with us for eternity, not to be robots. And love requires a choice. So, although he created us from head to toe and knows every single thing about us, he also granted us free will. And he gave us a choice to follow him and then to choose to love him or not. And how could love be love if he would have forced you to love him? Love is love because someone chooses to love us. That's the very essence of it. And he gave that choice to humanity, and we chose to seek our own way over his. And he knew that would happen. It didn't take him by surprise, and he already had the plan for redemption before day one ever was. He would send his son himself to pay for the choice we would make to turn from him. We could go further into this whole subject of free will and the beginning and all things like that, and if you've never done that before, I urge you to. It's very eye-opening, and it makes you understand a lot of things that the world, non-believers, do not understand. But the point being is, and the truth being is, you and me were alienated, and we needed someone to reconcile us, which is what we heard in the last verse, and to make us friends and not enemies of God. That's That's why he had to reconcile us, because we made the choice to live our lives apart from him. Each and every one of us from birth. So, reading on into verse 22, but now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation. What a gift! If you think about the fact that you had a choice and that you were born sinful and you were an enemy of God and you were going to make that decision regardless, because that's just who you are, and he reconciled you, and he is now presenting you holy and free from accusation. I can't think of anything more to be grateful for than that, especially when the day Jesus comes back and every knee will bow, even those who have rejected him and not believed in him. He says every knee will bow. And to know that on that day I'm going to be seen without blemish, me in his sight, is something to be extremely grateful for, extremely joyful for. And if you've never studied the Old Testament and the sacrificial system of payment for sins that the Israelites had to go through, you should. I've done it. It's very interesting. It can actually really draw you close to God in a weird way that I didn't think would be. But when you understand the idea that God was teaching the people that sin was not okay, and remember, sin is what hurts us and our neighbor, he was showing them that someone always had to pay the price. When you hurt someone and wrong someone, they pay the price. When you have been hurt by someone or wronged by someone, you pay the price. Look at your life. Who has hurt you? Or who has hurt you where you know you've paid the price in some way? And who have you hurt? God takes it seriously and says payment is required for that. Despite what some people may think, God is the ultimate God of justice because he loves his kids and he takes it serious when someone hurts them. Parents, can you feel this? We feel that for our own children. God is the same way. He takes sin seriously. We hurt each other. We hurt creation. We do not live perfectly in love. And in the Old Testament, sacrifices were required to pay the penalty for wrongs, even the slightest wrongs. And, sometimes it was an animal, and the life of an innocent animal took the place of the sin. The lifeblood of something innocent was used to make restitution. And I say you should go back and learn about that because it helps you understand what Jesus came for. Being God, he came to us as a human and lived a perfect life, completely devoid of sin and completely innocent, just like that animal that had to choose. And here's where we jump back into that fairy tale that is yours and mine and all of humanity's. In verse 22, when he says he has reconciled us through his own physical body, his lifeblood, and his death. He has reconciled you through his own physical body and death to, drum roll, to, do you think it goes on to say he did all that to hang it over your head? I think some of us live out of that. Do you think he did all that to make you squirm? I see Christians squirming. Do you think he did all that to never let you live it down? Do you live out of that? Have you heard the world say things along those lines? That's, like God is trying to make you squirm somehow. that he would go through all of that pain and death to just then hang it over your head? No. If you continue to read, he did that to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation. How is that not the best end to a fairy tale? How can it get any better? And it's yours. It's reality. So tell me, how often do you get up every day and feel unholy? And I mean just really aware of how far you are from the person you long to be as a Christian? And how much do you see your blemishes, your faults, your sins, your mistakes, your struggles, your failures? A lot for me. I lived my whole Christian life like that. But then I started hearing the truth of the real fairy tale. My knight in shining armor, my God, came and reconciled me and washed me white as snow, and I am seen in my Father's eyes as completely holy. And I would say that we have the best hero in our fairy tale and the most passionate redeemer than any earthly fairy tale I've ever read, because of the way he came to reconcile us. You know, you think back to the fairy tales of Snow White and Cinderella, and, you know, the princes in these stories just happen to come upon the princesses, mostly. You know, I mean, they were just, the prince in Cinderella was just sitting in his castle, you know, and he got to dance with her one night. He really didn't have to go to any great length, really, to get Cinderella. I mean, he even sent somebody else with the shoe to go look for her. But the point is, our Redeemer, he didn't just decide, I'm going to come back and save you guys. He decided to do it in a way where he took the beating and the scourging of a lifetime. It was the bloodiest of the bloodiest. And that required, if you think about it, passion. A passion for us, a passion for me, a passion for you that you need to wrap your head around if you never have. When we don't think about this and when we don't know this, we are lukewarm, and understandably so. But aren't we all longing for that other human being, that something and someone to love us so much, to adore us and be so passionately desirous for us that they would go to this length to bring us to themselves? I mean, that is the deepest, most romantic, passionate love story there could be, that we're all looking for in the movies and TV, everywhere. I mean, the world is hungry for it, and it's ours already. It's the reality of this story. You're holding on to it right now, and it's yours. His excruciating death was for you. And it was for you as if you were the only person in the world. If you were the only one that needed saving, that he created, and it was just you he created, he would have gone through that length, even if it was just for you. And this death and passion and crazy love for his creation was for all. Not only those who believe now, but all who would believe and all who will believe. I want to go to just prove that it's for all is 2 Peter 3:9. You want to just listen or go there. The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. Instead, he is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance. This fairy tale is for everyone. He doesn't want to lose one person he created. But going back to verse 23 in Colossians, there is a little bit of an admonition on our part. It says, if, okay, he's come to reconcile you and set you in this new place, free from accusation. If you continue in your faith, established and firm, and do not move from the hope held out in the gospel. I'm going to go back and repeat that again. If we continue in our faith and do not move, I love that. Do not move. You better stay there. Out from the hope held in what? What is your hope being held in? What is your faith and hope being held in? Is it the works that you do? Because some of us Christians live like this. We don't want to move out of the good works that we need to do to earn God's acceptance. Or if we continue in our faith and do not move out from the hope held in all the knowledge we can attain. Okay, if I can just get more information, I'll be there. I'll have his acceptance of me. That's not what it says, but we can go there. We can puff ourselves up with knowledge, or just from a place of shame think there really is something I don't know that I got to find out before this applies to me. So I'll go back. If we continue our faith and do not move out from the hope held in, how many verses we have memorized? That's not what it says. Or how many people we help? How much service are we doing? How good of a person I am? It doesn't say that. It says that we do not move out of the hope held in the gospel. It starts and it ends in the gospel. The true message of it, Paul reminds us, the true message of the gospel, which we don't all get. I'm sorry. I don't see that all Christians get the true gospel because they're just working too hard out of a sense of needing to do that work to earn God's love. The true message is that you have done nothing to earn your salvation and you're standing before God. It was done for you. It is over. It's Paul's reason for living, is to get the message to the world of the gospel and then to encourage the believer to hang their lives on it and to not move back to works-based faith. And we don't all get that in our life, in our Christian life. We do not all, and I'm not saying there isn't salvation there, but some of us live out the rest of our Christian's lives working to earn something that we already have. And it's a shame. But Paul says he has come, if we continue on, it says, this is the gospel that you have heard and that has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven, and of which I, Paul, have become a servant of. It's his life mission. And now that I get it, the true message of the gospel that I sat not knowing for 15 years, it's my same mission. It's just what gets me fired up to sit across from another woman over a cup of coffee and listen and hear in her voice what I felt for years, that there was something else I needed to do to hear from God or to feel his love and to know that it was true. And I don't know. I get it. I get what Paul gets, I guess. And I don't get it all the time. And I don't live out of it all the time. I am a work in progress because the mind takes time to renew. The brain has to create new neural pathways. And there's all kinds of science behind the way our brains work and the time it takes to create new healthy ways of thinking, truths that then begin to break down old beliefs and traumas to free us to live in a new way, the way our knight in shining armor came to bring us into. And I have in some of my show notes some people that have been very helpful to me, Christian mental health people, talk a lot about the brain, and that's worth going into also. If you are not able to hear from God, if you are really struggling with understanding his love for you, there's all kinds of help out there. And I've listed a few people that can help, all kinds of free material to listen to that can help you understand that better and work on that. Going on to say, so I have to learn to be patient with myself, though, when I go back to fear and questioning about, can I really believe all these things? Because I'm telling you a lot of wonderful things, and I'm encouraging you in all of this freedom and how much God loves you and accepts you and sees you a different way. But I go back to fear and questioning about that too, sometimes on a daily basis. I'm still growing. And, can I really accept these gifts and live freely in them? Can I really stop spending my Christian life worrying about every move I make? And if I've lost his love or acceptance in a day, I have to be patient and I have to be zealous. Like it says in verse 23, you have to continue in your faith, established and firm, and don't move out of that hope. That is something you have to work on. Out of the wonderful truth, to stay there into the way God sees you now and basking in that. It pleases God for you to set aside old thinking and to bask in his grace, to bask in the pardon. After all, think of the fairy tale. Do you think that it brings Jesus any joy to watch you groveling and sulking and living joylessly after he went through what he went through? Doesn't the nature of how he died inform you that he is passionate about you? Okay? And think of someone you're passionate about, even if it's an animal. Let's say it's your dog, your cat. What do you want most from them? What is it you want? You want to be with them and to see them smile. That's what he did for us. That's why he did it. He wants to see a smile come to your face. He wants you to bask in the gift that he's given you. So you do not move out of this frame of mind and this new way of living, even if you have to fight for it. It's what he wants. That pleases him. You groveling and acting holy in some way that's not yourself is not what pleases him. No. He wants to bring you into every bit of who you really are. And that's going to be a person that smiles a whole lot more. Verse 23 also says, and this is in my NIV version, that, this gospel that you heard and that has been proclaimed to every creature under heaven. And I kind of had to stop there, and that really kind of took me, every creature under heaven this gospel has been proclaimed to? Well, I thought we were still reaching the world with the gospel. And although that is true, I think it goes, before I even went a little deeper, I'm like, well, there must be the gospel and then the true message of the gospel, which is something deeper, a connection with God and humanity that every creature must have. And so I just looked up a few other versions. I looked up the Christian Standard Bible version. It says, this gospel has been proclaimed in all creation under heaven. And then I looked up the Message version, and it said, every creature under heaven gets this same message. Interesting. So I'm no scholar, and I'm just reading this as an average middle of the road child of God. But I think it is linked to verses like Romans 1, 19 to 20. It's what kind of popped up when I was reading that in my mind. So if you go to Romans 1, 19 to 20, it says, Since what may be known about God is plain to them. Actually, let's go back to verse 18. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. Remember, that's that choice. We're born wicked, and we will either suppress this truth or we will accept this truth. But it says, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. So that just reminds me, every creature, God must have put something in them that knows, it even says animals, that knows instinctively that there is something bigger than themselves. They must know it in their heart and their mind that there's a higher power. And however God brings that up with each individual who maybe have not heard the gospel yet, that's between them and him. But it is something that everyone has in them. And I hear this verse as actually comforting, because the verse before implores us to not move out of the hope of this life-changing message. Like, don't move out of it. You need to stay here. And that he, our God, is putting in the hearts of all of his creatures this message. And it's comforting because he leaves no one out. Whatever each person does in that moment of death when they meet their maker, it comforts me to know the Lord is for all, and he wants all to come to him, and nobody is left out from having a chance to know him, whether the gospel has been preached to them or not. And this tells me, once again, like many other verses I have read, Old Testament to New Testament, that our God is very inclusive, and he will go to the ends of the earth to get his message through to each and every heart, because he does not wish for one soul to perish. He is fighting for us. He's calling to us, even to those who are ignoring him. But they have the choice. There's where the harsh reality comes in. God doesn't want anyone to perish. You do that yourself when you choose to reject him. But if he's longing and fighting and dying for even the one who rejects him, that death was for even those who hate God and reject him. How much more will he honor and help and lift up the one who accepts him? You, believer, me, you and me. I mean, if he's fighting for the one that rejects him, how much more will he give us and love on us, those that do accept him? And I need you to, I hope that you rest in that truth today. It's just a new truth to think about. And I hope you lean closer to his heart and, stop what you're doing and seek him with all you have in you. Let him take off the bandages that you've tried to mend yourself with, which we all do, and to keep in the pain. We bandage ourselves with all kinds of things to just we don't want to feel the pain. And, I'm asking you, can you let him in and have a peek, and see what's under there, and use his balm, his healing ways. His balm is the gospel. And balm, I mean a healing medicinal, I don't even know the word to explain it. Look it up. But his balm, his healing it's not magic. It's not presto, you're healed. It's in the gospel. It's in you understanding you have a new identity, and you need to go find that out. And it's in the justice he's promised, and it's in your slate being wiped clean. Those are the things that heal when you get that, and you're living in a new frame of mind, and you're not hanging on to that baggage anymore. And sometimes you just need to take some time to look at what baggage you really are holding on to, because many of us are carrying all kinds of burdens and hanging all kinds of past stuff. And we say, oh, the past. I heard people say, well, I just want to leave the past in the past. Well, if it's affecting you today and you're wise enough to see that, I think you might need to go to the past. And it's not to bury, to unbury it and to glorify it. It's to figure it out and put the pieces of the puzzle together so that you can let it go and live out of a new way of thinking. You have to know what you were thinking before to understand how you're thinking now. It just makes sense. It's not scary. It's not scary to go back and look through that. Don't let that be scary. It's wise. It's healing if you have the right people to help you do it. And like I said, luckily, if you don't have a cent to go get counseling, you have the church body, you have plenty of things for free out there now that people are sharing, with these ways of social media that can be very, very beneficial to you without having a dime to your name. It's out there, and the Lord will help lead you to those people. He did for me. I don't even know how they came across my screen, but they did, and I stuck with them, and I'm growing, and there's fruit. That's how I know. You know you're growing when you can see the fruit. So, whatever you're hanging on today, we all have stuff we're hanging on to. I do too. Remember that the fairy tale is written. It's got a perfect ending, and in God's eyes, you are the center of it just as much as any other human being that has ever existed. You are reconciled through a passionate death, and He is very much for your growth and transformation. He will do it. If this message has even brought you even a smallest little bit of hope, will you please press like and share with someone you know could help them too? And maybe even hit subscribe, which doesn't mean you have to pay for anything. It just means I'm going to show up on your feed more often. I hope that I've given you one little reason to smile today, or to just get up and keep walking, and keep going and hanging in there. So until we meet again next time, have a great day, and don't move out from that hope held out in the gospel. See you later.